morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you're watching this, I truly appreciate you. I have a question. And please forgive the noise. It's hot in my car. I got the window down. And there's somebody mowing the grass. But I have a question. What do you do when you don't feel safe in an environment where you should feel safe? What do you do? Whether it's a home environment, a work environment, a church environment, a friend's house, a random public space. What do you do when you don't feel safe in a place where you should feel safe? I was in a situation today, and it really had absolutely nothing to do with me, but I got in my feelings about it because I no longer felt safe in the environment that I was in where I should feel safe. Two people had a personal outside of this space situation. I'll just say work. Outside of this space situation. And they brought the situation into the work environment. And it escalated. Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can. I'm sorry if you cannot. But as a matter of fact, let me just do this. I just turned the air on. I do apologize again. Oh my God, these people drive as if they've lost their ever-loving minds. Forgive me. So they brought this situation, which was totally outside. It was a personal situation, and they brought it into the work environment. And it got to a point where one person threatened physical harm to the other person. And that, to me, is a no-no. That's an absolute no-no. You don't do that unless you mean it. You don't throw out idle threats unless you mean it. So again, even though the situation had absolutely nothing to do with me, I no longer felt safe in that space. So I sat there for a moment and I watched how the situation was handled, and I wasn't satisfied with that either. So I got up and I left. I got up, got in my car, and I left. Because, one, I did not feel safe. Two, I was agitated by the way it was handled. I don't feel that it had been handled properly. And so I thought the best thing for me to do, just in case it elevates, I thought the best thing for me to do was to leave. So I did. And I expressed to someone that that's what I was going to do, because I just didn't think it was right. So how would you handle that? I mean, prayer for me is a constant. So of course I pray for the situation, and I say it that way because it is a constant, and I do that. But not only did I pray for the situation, not only did I pray for those involved, not only did I pray that everyone be safe, not only did I pray for myself to be safe, but I also prayed that I did not speak what I was feeling at that moment out of emotion. I wanted to be able to speak what I was feeling at that moment out of logic. So that's why I initially just sat there to see what happened. And then when I wasn't satisfied by the way that it was handled, my temperature began to rise. And my patience level began to minimize. And in that case, I really would have spoken out of emotion, because I was afraid for safety. I was agitated. I was actually quite angry, to the point where I was near tears. That's just how angry I was, because I was trying to hold it in without saying anything, and it was on its way to exploding from my body in tears. And I didn't want to do that. So after all of that happened, I thought it best that I just leave. And I did come back, and I expressed how I felt about the situation out of logic and not out of emotion. And I wasn't told that I should not have been concerned. I wasn't told that. But what I was told still wasn't satisfactory to me. So I'm still not happy with it. But I know what my next move needs to be. And that's just no longer be, until they rectify it the way it's supposed to be rectified, it's to no longer be, to always be on guard. I can't say no longer be in that environment, because right now I cannot not be in that environment. But I know to always be on guard, just in case. I'm going to do something a little bit different today, because I want to see what's down this road. I like exploring. It's totally off topic, but I like exploring. So I want to see what's down this road that I never go down. And I see. So yeah, that's my question to you, and I wonder how you would handle it. That's a whole business back here. This is like, I'm glad I came back here. Now I know. There's a ton of stuff back here. But I gotta turn around now, because there's a dead end. So that's one thing. That's one thing. That's the one thing. On a different note, I made a video the other day, and I was gonna try to add to it, and I still may do that. I may just splice this so that I can take this portion and add it to that when I edit. First I gotta learn how to do that. But we did have our little weekend getaway. We did take our road trip. We went on our road trip, and we had a good time. My husband had a good time. He was really happy to be with his family. He was really excited that he got to spend at least all of Saturday with them, because we did drive up rather. We drove up to Arkansas Friday evening. And I don't know that I've ever said this before, but I hate driving at night. I don't care for driving at night in general, but I'll do it But when we're taking road trips, I truly hate driving at night because I can't see what I would like to see. One, law enforcement. Can't see them when you're driving at night. So on a road where you're supposed to be doing 70 and you're getting a good 90 in, and next thing you know, you got lights going behind you because you didn't see law enforcement. But two, depending on the road, depending on where you're going, you can't see what's around you. Where we typically end up is we have, the deer on the side of the road. A lot of times they jump out and you mess around and hit one of them, or you get in an accident because you're trying to avoid hitting one of them. So you can't see them. Other wildlife, skitters across the road, and you may end up hitting them or in an accident trying to avoid hitting them. Other cars, because people are driving at night, and if they've done like I have and been at work all day, then they're tired and they're driving. So you have to, not only pay attention to where you're going, but you got to pay attention to those around you, just like you would during the daytime, but it's even more intense at night. And, if you don't really know the road, then you might hit a curve that you didn't know was there, going too fast. Anything could happen. So I really dislike driving at night. I just really dislike driving at night. And my husband, on the other hand, thinks that's the best time to drive because you don't have to deal with a whole lot of traffic. You still have some, but you don't have to deal with a whole lot. And that's all fine and good, but he's not the one that drives. I am. So it bothers me. And so with this last trip, I told him that's it. We're not doing any more nighttime driving. I'm just not, because we were on a road and it was a beautiful road. It was well paved, no potholes or barely potholes. And it was long, but it was a winding, twisting, turning, snake-like road. And between that, it being pitch black, because of course when you're driving in the country they don't have street lights, and Bambi and his family were off on the sidelines trying to figure out how they're gonna get from one side to the other. So yeah, I was not happy about that, but the husband had a really good time. I did too. I'm not saying that I didn't. I did too, but at a certain point I just really got tired because I had done 10 hours at work Friday, and then I drove for 6 hours. And when we got in and lay down, it was like 1 o'clock when we finally got in the bed. 1 o'clock in the morning when we finally got in the bed. And for some reason, my husband decided to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I shouldn't say for some reason. I know exactly why he got up. He has to sleep with the TV on. The TV went off. He had to have the TV on. And he was frustrated because he couldn't find channels. So 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm awake now, and I'm spending a good hour to hour and a half trying to go back to sleep. So I did go back to sleep, but only for another 45 minutes to an hour, because at like 6:45, 7 o'clock, I was awake. I'm like, okay, let me just go ahead and take a shower. Let me just take a shower. So I took my shower, got dressed. We did what we had to do throughout the day, hung out with his people. And at a certain point, I said, I gotta go lay down. So I left him with his people. I went back to the relative's house that we were staying with, and I lay in the bed. I didn't go to sleep, but I lay in the bed and just rested. I vegged on watching Beyonce's Coachella performance that first night and enjoyed it. And I'm not a huge Beyonce fan. I mean, some of her music I like. Some of it I don't really, it's like no big deal. But that's just me. That's just because of the music that I do like, the music that I do tend to listen to. But of late, I've been listening to her stuff a little bit more. And so I binged on her Coachella performance the first night. Ooh, squirrel. You must be by that bird's nest. So, yeah, we did that. Had a good time. And Sunday got up and went to his mom's graveside and spent a little bit of time there, and spent a little time at his other relative's house. And then we hit the road and we got home. We got back to our area close to 4. Made a stop that we had to make before we got home, and then we got home and I immediately got out of my clothes because I was like, oh, I can't take it anymore. I've been in these clothes all day. So, but I did have some stuff I had to do, some laundry I had to do, so I got started on that. Gotta finish it tonight, but I'm really tired right now. So I'm going to, with that, say peace and blessings. Remember to walk in your purpose, and remember that I appreciate you.